and I'm gonna share it too. We are live, y'all. We are live. I'm about to share it. So yeah, all of that. So while y'all are there, welcome back to the Let's Heal podcast. I'm Tyrell, and I have my special guest host today, John Ebron, who also is a coach and consulting person. And y'all just stay right there. We got a good show about emotional abandonment today. So just stay right there. All right, so we are back, everybody, and I hope you are sharing this video. I see Jazzy is already here. How you doing, Jazzy? I appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you share this video. And today we will be talking about emotional abandonment. And like I said before, I have John Ebron here with me today. So, John, tell everybody who you are. Tell everybody a little bit about you, and yeah, who you are. Let us know. Let the world know who you are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is John Ebron. I'm the coach, trainer, and public speaker with the John Maxwell team, and also the founder of Ebron Coaching and Consulting. So my background is in emotional resilience and time management. Did a lot of that work during my stint in the military, and as a trainer, kind of developed a passion for coaching. And so I moved into that space of life and leadership coaching. I have been doing that since 2016. Love it and love supporting. So that's a little bit about me.
All right. Awesome. And so today we're talking about emotional abandonment. And I've watched John's videos and saw his energy, and I thought that he would be the perfect person to come on here with me to talk about this today. But before we get into that disclaimer, y'all, I know y'all tired of seeing that intro. I'm tired of seeing that intro. I tried to do some things and work some things out, but these aspects over here, I'm so not that technical person. So if y'all know somebody who's technical, have them reach out to me, because we got to get this stuff together. So we're going to jump right in. Today we're going to talk about emotional abandonment. So before we get started, I got some notes here. Y'all know me, I got my notes. And on the very top line, it says emotional abandonment is a subjective emotional state in which people feel undesired, left behind, insecure, or discarded. People experiencing emotional abandonment may feel at a loss. So, great intro. Thank you, Jazzy. So, what is your experience when it comes to emotional abandonment? How would you define emotional abandonment? Almost like a Webster dictionary-ish kind of definition.
When I think of emotional abandonment, I think about really like almost the mirror image of the physical aspect of just literally being left alone. The difference in emotional abandonment and social abandonment is so. It can be so deceptive, right? Because, we all know these things. Like, you don't necessarily have to be physically left alone to be emotionally abandoned. And the void of not having that emotional connection with those that are in your life is traumatic enough. But oftentimes those who are emotionally abandoned, they also have other hemorrhages coming out of their lives. And so not only they're being depleted from that emotional aspect of it, or not having that connectiveness, but then you still have people that are pulling on you for other support and other things. And there's just a constant draining out and no replenishing, and because it's an intangible thing, it's an emotive state. It's really hard to get after a mechanism or a way of getting back from it and healing from it.
Yeah, definitely. So my thing with emotional abandonment, I feel like a lot of it, being in, and y'all know me, y'all know Let's Heal, y'all know me. I don't intend to offend anybody. So if I'm offending you, then that means that you might need to reach out to me and talk to me anyway. But I feel like being a Black male in the Black community, they experience a lot of emotional abandonment because, you know, you hear things like, and I got it here in my notes that says you don't really feel that way. Like when you have somebody tell you how you don't really feel, you know, growing up is like, I saw my nephew's father, and I kind of like got into it with him before. My nephew was a young child. He's older now. And I think my nephew was crying and he told my nephew, be a man. What? When I heard it, I cringed and I was like, well, hold up. What does that mean? Because he's crying, he's not able to be a man? Like that creates an emotional abandonment because they start abandoning their other emotions. You know, crying is something that everybody is capable of doing. And now you're telling him if he cries, he's not able to be a man.
Right.
Another thing that I hear, and this in my notes, is it wasn't that bad. And I've heard an adult tell another adult that. And that's like, how do you tell somebody that what they're going through is not that bad? Like, how dare you, to be completely honest?
Right.
Something else I've heard is it's not worth you getting upset about. And I have had to catch myself from saying that to people, you know, because it may not be affecting me, but again, how dare I tell you how it affects you? Shame on you.
Not hashtag.
Right. Hashtag shame on you. And now this one I hear all the time. So the next one, it says, stop being so dramatic. That creates emotional issues. You know, it creates scars in people. It creates an emotional boundary that tells people to stop expressing themselves.
Yeah. It's a judgment.
Yeah.
And judgment is designed to either acquit you or to sentence you.
Yeah.
That's what judgment is for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it I also got to hear, it says your parents may have been emotionally neglected by their own parents. And you know, growing up, I had to, you know, talk about that with my parents and how they were raised by their parents, and, you know, kind of identifying where the disconnect was so that I don't carry that disconnect on into my next relationship. So as far as that, like, have you ever experienced that when you talk to people in your coaching, and how would you confront that? How do you identify it? How do you confront it? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, so in my coaching, I have, in my personal life, I have, right. And this is one of the things that, you know, one of the thinking traps that we have to deal with all the time is the false dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
Like there you have one or two options. Either they were right and you were wrong, or you were right and they were wrong. The pick one, right? And that's just not the case. Sometimes, all of the time, they were right and they were wrong. And you were right and you were wrong.
Right.
You get the opportunity to be human, right? Together and work through that. And you decide the empowering story that you're going to come into agreement with and move forward with.
Yes.
You know, with myself personally, I've had to figure out which confrontational conversations I actually want to have, you know. Sometimes you need to have that conversation with someone who has passed, right?
Oh yeah.
Because we are spirit,
Yeah.
with an intellect,
Yeah.
living this out on a physical plane, right?
Yeah.
So just because your spirit has moved on out of this physical plane doesn't mean you're gone. And so if that precious soul behaved badly and did you damage, that still needs to be cleared out, even if they're no longer here, right? So there's just so much to emotional abandonment, man. And I really love that you just jumped right in at the beginning of this segment and just put it out there that being Black, being male in this country, and I will even go as far as for myself to say be Black, male, and gay in this country. You are either emotionally scarred and know it, or emotionally scarred and don't know it. Those are your options, right?
Exactly.
And so the thing about that is that there is a stage in our development where it does the responsibility of
Yeah.
dealing with what is rest on our shoulder, right? At a certain stage we shouldn't be responsible. We are
Exactly.
in a dependent state, diapers and milk bottles, right?
Right. Right.
Then as we move into our levels of independence, we have to kind of take on that responsibility of, I didn't create this, but if I don't fix it, then I'm going to live with this damage for the rest of my life. So it's on me. And
Fix it. Right.
yeah, the encouraging thing, and this is what I love about coaching, the encouraging thing is that it can be done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I got my feet wet in personal growth and development, and I've already gave you my disclaimer. Let me give my disclaimer to the rest of the world. I look just like my daddy, and I talk just like my mama. So I will talk to you to death if you let me. So pull my reins. But I got my feel or my feet wet in personal growth and development by reading Dr. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
And for those of you who have not read it, get it. It is the driest information in the world that has just is presented in such an electric way. It will change your life. It will become like your annual reading, I promise you. But there's these 7 habits, and the first one was be proactive.
Yeah.
And the whole point of being proactive is accepting the fact that you are responsible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're able. You're able to respond. And that still needs some balance, right? Because sometimes we weaponize that and say, regardless, you're responsible. And that's not the intent of that. But it was empowering for me over a period of time. It wasn't at first.
Mm-hmm.
I was insulted at first. Like, how dare you?
Right. See, how dare you? Yeah.
But over a period of time, it became empowering that, these things that Ty has this and I don't, so I just have to suck it up and just live with it. No, there are methods of being in this space where you can resolve some of this and really heal. So
and I think that a lot of times, like you were talking about before, I'm sorry if I'm trying to share to some more groups so that we get some, other people that actually hear, because I think a lot of people need to hear this, when it comes to emotional abandonment and things like that.
Yeah.
One of my podcasts that I did a while ago it was entitled, "Is This Baggage Even Mine?"
Oh, wow.
And a lot of times when you go through things, like, you realize that you have been put into a position where you tend to feel the way that your parents felt. When you grow up around somebody who's always angry, all you know is how to be is angry.
Yeah.
If you grow up around somebody who is a victim, the only thing you know how to do is be a victim. So, a lot of times we carry around things that have stopped us from exploring other emotions, which is also another form of emotional abandonment. Because there's 5 steps of grief. There's 5 steps before you get to the other side of grief, but most people get stuck at the step number 2, which is anger. Mm-hmm. And that's why you have some people who walk around who are angry at people, and it's like, why are you so mad? Like, I'm not going to say that it's not that bad, but I'm always going to ask why. I was always that why kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why does this person get upset like this? Why does this person respond this way? And a lot of it had to do with, like me, like you said, I had to explore my own feelings and emotions. I had to understand that there are other emotions besides anger and happiness. Yes, I'm all about happiness, and happiness is your own responsibility. But I also know that there are other emotions. And one of the books that I read was How to Get Out of Your Own Way by Tyrese.
Okay.
And people are like, I ain't never heard it. When you read the book, it's like his story is one of his first book. I think it might be his first book. And I was younger. And then right after that, I read Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bitty short book. But if you really pay attention to the words of that book, it helps you take a deeper look inside of you, or at least it helped me look deeper in myself. You know what I'm saying? Because when you say, who moved my cheese, you feel like it's somebody else's responsibility to make you happy, when and you're saying, who moved this? And it's like, no, actually you moved it. Or did you even have it in the first place?
Right. Good question. Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
so okay, now I got, here are 9 signs that you may have suffered from childhood emotional neglect. You are afraid of relying on others, and you reject offers of help, support, or care.
Mm-hmm.
You have a hard time identifying your strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes, and life goals. So now y'all see how that childhood issue turns into your life goals.
Yeah.
You are harder on yourself than you would be even on a stranger, and you lack self-compassion and understanding. You know, and like you said before, responsibility, being able to be, and being able to respond.
Yeah.
Being hard on yourself doesn't allow you to be able to respond correctly.
Right.
You blame yourself almost exclusively, direct your anger inward, or feel guilt or shame about your needs or feelings. And now with me being an emotional intelligence life coach, I'm always telling people, y'all need to take the love language test, because you need to know what your needs and your feelings are. Like, I know mine is quality time followed by physical touch. So I meet people and they're like, well, I would love to get to know you. And it's like, you are not emotionally ready for me, because I'm all about quality time, and we ain't got to spend every waking moment together, but seconds are something you can never get back. So when you give somebody your time, it should show you how much they, anyway, let me go back to this. You feel numb, empty, or cut off from your emotions, or you feel unable to manage or express them. You are easily overwhelmed and give up quickly. You have low self-esteem. You are extra sensitive to rejection. I'm gonna stop there for a minute, because I feel like that one, you fear rejection. Like, there's a lot of people who fear rejection, not only in relationships, but even work, or even, friendships or anything like that. So they won't go after a lot of things. You have people who will explore conversations and they won't ask a question that they really want to know, because they don't want to be told no.
Right. Yeah. Or they'll bogart the conversation to try to lead you into the direction they want it to go, because they want to keep you in their self-created safe zone. And they create this thing. It's almost like like a Star Trek kind of illustration of you got this energy barrier, and if you step outside of it, you're gonna burn up or something. Like rejection is gonna kill you. Rejection is not gonna kill you. But if you keep it as the boogeyman in the closet and never develop, I say this all the time. Part of emotional resilience is developing a good relationship with rejection. Because it's here like air. You're gonna face it, or you're gonna pretend like you're not, but you're still facing it anyway.
Rejection is a part of life, and I tell people that all the time. Like, I'm constantly talking to people about that. If you are not able to be able, when you think about things that you could be rejected from, life. You could be rejected from life, but what did you learn from that? You can't keep walking into the same situation knowing the outcome. The definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. So if you're walking into the same kind of situation, you continue to get rejected. It's time to go back to the drawing board and do something different, so that you could possibly get,
And the rejection itself is not a declaration as it relates to who you are. It really has nothing to do with that. And I think that's one of the major fears that leads us down a road of trying to reject rejection, is that we're scared that if I put the cards on the table and you reject me in any kind of way, then that is an indication of who I am. Like, only a loser can get rejected. No. Rejection is just a healthy part of navigating through life, right? And it can be a wonderful or create a wonderful opportunity for self-evaluation, right? So ask all the W questions and stuff like, and why, what actually happened?
Yeah, yeah.
What happened here?
The who, what, where, when, and why. Those, yeah. So when he said the W question, so Jazzy says, how does one begin to build a relationship with rejection? Now that's a good question. I'll let you answer. I'll let you go first with your answer. How do you feel like people should build a relationship?
And I I actually was going to post a reel today. I might still do it. I saw a gentleman who was talking about self-care.
Yeah.
And I must say that quickly. I think that is the answer to starting to develop a healthy relationship with rejection is first developing that healthy relationship with yourself first.
Yeah.
If you get a strong enough vision of who you are, where you're going, and how you're getting there, if you start really kind of working on that, that visionary kind of statement has its own magnetic pull, right? And it will pull you through rejection. Rejection is an effect of a cause.
Right.
It is not the cause of an effect. It shouldn't. Right. If it is the cause of effect, then you're in trouble. It should be the effect of a cause, right? And so your cause will plow you through that rejection.
Yeah.
It'll pull you right on through. And so how you start developing a healthy relationship with rejection is when the possibility of rejection comes with an opportunity.
Right.
So an opportunity presents itself. Let's say for me, I wanted to go, we'll keep it in relationship because everybody wants to talk about relationships.
Right.
I want to go on a date with such and such,
Boris
Kojo. Boris called me. Anyway, so I get presented with that opportunity. Yeah. Now, he can flat out reject me, right? So if I have this strong enough magnetic pull, then that rejection becomes, for lack of, not to be cliche, but it kind of becomes direction, right? It shows up as a way of evaluating, okay, well, what just happened? Why was that important in the first place? Because oftentimes what we set as goals for ourselves, they're really shadow to like the larger goals in life we really want. Like, I want to date this person, but really you want to date this person because you believe dating this person will bring you some sense of satisfaction or security or something. And so, if that rejection takes place, it opens up the space of, what was the larger objective and allows you to move forward, right? So developing your self-identity and developing your mechanisms for self-care is a great way to start developing or developing that healthy relationship with rejection. Because when you start moving forward with those things in mind and rejection comes, if all you got is rejection, then you stop right there. But if you got your self-care, if you got your self-identity, you keep moving forward through that rejection on that pathway of finding, living out your self-identity.
Oh yeah. And I will also add to that. Before we go to the next, because we got another question. Before we go to the next question, I feel like in building a relationship to rejection, you have to understand not even necessarily what they are rejecting, but what you are projecting. Because people will put, you have a lot of people who will say, I have a nice body, you should love me.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Because that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for somebody who's walking around with a six-pack, because I'm not gonna go there. I was about to go all the way there. But, or somebody who has money. And I think I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I said a lot of people will go for status or clout or money, and then get pissed off because you presented this money to somebody as a way of getting them to come into your life. And then when they come into your life and use you for your money, you get upset because they don't want to explore anything else about you besides your money. So it's like, so what are you projecting? Are you projecting that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're not if you don't want people to come into your life and reject you for who you really are, because we all got different sides and aspects of ourselves and things like that. And like you said before, learning who you are in order to know what you can give and what you will project
Yeah.
Then you have a healthy relationship of rejection, because rejection, when you know who you are, people rejecting you is not a negative thing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a negative thing, and you don't even have to look at them in a negative way. It's almost like, okay, hey, I get you. I respect you for even telling me. Like, at this point in my life, when it comes to dating, I'm like, I at least respect you for telling me that you're not interested, which is fine with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I appreciate you for being adult enough to say, I'm not interested. I don't feel nothing bad about you. I want you to find what you need. I want you to find what you want. I appreciate you for doing it. Anyway, we can go on that all day long.
Can I say one thing about that though, real quick? I want to get us stagnated here, but having a healthy relationship with rejection means both being prepared to receive rejection, but also being prepared to reject someone in a loving way.
Oh yeah,
that's both sides of the coin for a healthy relationship. And like you said, what I have experienced, what I have coached people through, marriages, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatchamacallits, leftovers, and hangovers,
not whatchamacallits,
is someone being approached. Someone has a healthy enough identity to say, I'm gonna go for what I want and I want you.
Right.
But you don't have a healthy enough identity to recognize and then declare,
right,
I don't want you the way you want me.
Exactly.
So they will not reject you publicly, but they are rejecting you inwardly. And then those are the individuals we say are those that play games, right?
That's what we call ghosting. So if you ghosted somebody, it's
because you absolutely have the right to say, thank you so much. I'm not really feeling that though.
Right.
And this is what I say to people. You have to develop what I call your strength philosophy.
Yeah.
To be out there in the world, whether you're talking about business, intimacy, or whatever.
Let me write that down. Strength philosophy. I'm listening.
Most people approach the dating market from a weak position. They come with weak energy.
Yeah.
And you can always tell weak energy, because here's how you can tell. Someone says, why do you want to be in a relationship? Because I deserve love, and because I need it, and because I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
All this I stuff. Go to the field and try to reap a harvest with that kind of philosophy.
Right.
The field says, I care nothing about your need. I only want your seed.
Right.
If you want some corn, you got to throw a couple of seeds in
right.
And so if you come from a place of strength of saying, I am ready to connect and to be with someone and to grow together, I'm ready to see what life will be like when I add my strength to your strength, and you come from that place of solidarity, right?
Yeah.
If you have that, then you also can reject in a loving way.
Yeah.
You encounter someone who does not really have what you are vibing with, what you're desiring. Yep. And so rejection, we think about rejection as being rejected, but each and every one of us are powerful in our own right?
Yeah.
And you are attractive. You are attractive. And so you're going to attract people who are attracted to what you emit, right? What you radiate.
Exactly.
And that does not instantly qualify them to hook up your soul, So that is part of the growth process, the growth mindset, I think, is being okay with rejection. It's direction, right? Being okay, and this is hard for me too, right? You go to a speaking gig, right? And then you're walking off the stage and she's walking up on you smiling. Hey, boo. I like what you said up there.
Right.
And I noticed you had no ring on your finger. Lord. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Thank you for playing, young lady. Young man.
Right.
Or whatever. You got to be prepared for that, because you are attractive. You are powerful. Each and every one of us are made in the image of God. Right. Whatever you call for God, right?
Right.
I don't have time. I don't have the energy or letters for that kind of conversation. But whatever you call the universe, God, the tree you like the most, whatever, right? But you are an expression of that. Yeah. And you are spirit. And spirit wants to do two things. It wants to express and it wants to expand. Yeah. And expression, expansion, growth, that's some sexy stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are attractive. And so you got to be prepared to both accept those who are not in that vibe with you, in that level of vibration with you. And you got to be ready to deal with those who they're not in yours and you're not in theirs. So
Right.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah, but you're right. You are definitely right. And when as you were talking, I was thinking about something that I've told somebody before, and even had to understand in my past relationship, you are who you attract, and a lot of times it may not be the surface things that you are when it comes to your attraction to that person. The energy that you put out, like I said, the energy that you are putting out is what you're going to bring back. So
Yeah.
if you're bringing back, in my case, I was putting out hurt.
Okay.
So I attracted somebody who was hurt, and we immediately became it was almost like drug addicts, because emotions are just like drugs. They can be just as addictive as drugs can. So when I put out that hurt, I attracted somebody who was hurt, and we became codependent on each other's pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we had to figure out, okay, you're hurt, I'm hurt, because as I'm exploring these things, I'm like, well, wait, what brought us together? And it took me to ask that question, because I'm like, okay, we're not growing, we're not moving. And that's also a sign that emotional, like when you get with somebody who is, they're putting positive emotions and growth, like you said, the feelings, the emotions want to grow, they want to expand.
Yeah.
And when you're not growing and you're not expanding, when you have somebody there, that means there's some kind of emotional imbalance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And once you have that imbalance, somebody's got to ask the question, like you said, those W questions.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Why are we in each other's life? Where are we going? And if you don't start asking yourself those questions, you're going to be stuck in a lot of situations. Because I know a lot of people in some situations where the emotions were abandoned years ago, and it's normal, it's usual, it's a routine at this point. So it's like, I can't leave this person. We've been together 10 years. So you'd rather be miserable because y'all been together for 10 years, and cheat on each other.
Right.
Or become physically or emotionally abusive to each other. But, I'm not going nowhere because I still love him deep down. Why you got to go deep down? Because when you love somebody,
I got too much invested.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, we're going to go to the next question.
All right.
But like I said, we could talk about this all day long. And we were talking about, doing some speaking and things like that. So if y'all are, y'all just be looking out in 2022, because John will definitely be a part of the Let's Heal, the motivational speaking seminar that I got coming up. So the next question that Jazzy had says, so do you begin to date the person or the personality? Which one would fulfill you? You want to go first? I'll let you go first, since you.
Well, that is an interesting question. Do you date the person or the personality? Wow. Jazz, you deep tonight, man. I'm gonna have to get with you. Let's see. I would say I feel like I'm speaking in cliches a lot of times, and I try to avoid that. But a lot of times when it comes to dating, whatever that word means for you, right? Because that's a whole discussion in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
But connecting with someone, most in general, you are dating the representative.
Right.
So it's not the man of the house or the woman of the house. It is, the butler that answers the door, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and some of that is intentional. A lot of that is unintentional. We don't let our hair down until we get comfortable. So I want to stick to your question. Do we date the person or the personality? I think you have to be prepared for both. When you are connecting with another person, you're connecting with a dynamic individual, right?
Yeah.
So this is the person who is going to be different a year from now, a month from now, maybe a day from now, right? And so you have to be, flexible.
Yeah.
Right? flexible and attentive to see what is showing up and what's being presented, right? And that same process that person is going through is the exact same process you're going through.
Exactly.
In your personality, we have the public face, we have the private face, and we have the core, right?
Yeah.
And that core doesn't move too much, but that public face is what we think people want from us, and that private face is what we think we really have to be.
Right.
And we really present those things, right? So it depends on what kind of fire hits you, which one you get, right? The public face, that is like just a general, okay, we getting out here into the world, right? It starts getting a little heated.
Yeah.
Now you go back to your private face. Well, I'm gonna tell you, let me tell you about me. So
Right.
that part, right?
Right.
And then when you start really getting tested, you have no choice but to fall back on that core that you have either done really good work on or you haven't done good work on, and that's what you got to work with, right? And so that's what a personality basically kind of breaks down to. So to get with the person, you go through the personality.
Right. Right, I agree. Before James, I see your question down there too. We're gonna get back to your question in a minute. As far as a person or the personality, for me, when it comes to the person or the personality, I know when people, because one question that I cannot stand that has been, I guess, groomed into people, I'm not gonna say beat into people, but it's been groomed into people, is what kind of person do you like? I hate that question. And that's because you are trying to figure out how to fit into a box that you may have thought that I have created, which eventually you're going to resent me for, because you're not really that person.
Yeah.
So when I meet people and they say that, they ask that question, I'm like, I like people who are themselves.
That's a good answer.
You know what I'm saying? Because I want you to be you, because it allows me to have an opportunity to figure out who you are and not who you think I want you to be. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, we all present a representative. We all put our best foot forward. And a lot of times people meet me and, based on what they may see on social media or wherever I may be, and then they meet me in person, they're like, oh my God, you're this or you're that. And I'm like, oh, you came to experience me. You didn't come to learn about me. And there's a difference. Like when you meet somebody, are you going to experience this person or are you going to learn about this person? See, I'm the kind of, I want to learn about you. So when I meet you, I want you to be you. If you are, it's almost like acceptance. And as I go into turning 40 in December, I have decided that, the theme of my life for that birthday will be acceptance. Learning how to accept people for who they are, no matter what. So if you're a liar, I know you're a liar. At least I know how to deal with you.
Right.
If you're emotional, at least I know how to deal with you, because I know at any given moment you can just bust out in tears, and it's nothing personal, but that's just who you are. So I like to date the person. The personality is almost like the person is the steak and the personality is the sides. It's like, well, what kind of sides you present? This steak look real good. But what you got on the side with this, because all together that's gonna make one magnificent meal.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and it's ever changing. That is
nothing is constant but change. I say that all the time. Yes,
absolutely. That's the beautiful thing about it is if I get to connect with you, whoever that you is, right?
Yeah.
And I make it my mission to put you in this box that I know you. What I'm really saying is don't grow another way.
Right.
And you have more life than you. I'm sorry.
Don't change.
Yeah, don't change. You have more life than you have years to live it. You're going to grow. Go look at a tree this year, and in 5 years from now, and expect to see the same tree. It's not going to be that way. If you're not growing, you're not living. Right. And so the beauty in relationship is rediscovering your partner year by year, month by month. You maybe this year I overcame a fear, that I didn't have last year,
Yep.
you know, and that has brought on a whole new representation of who I am, and that's who
Yep.
you connect with. Maybe, you know, I've had a setback, and that setback revealed an inner strength or an opportunity to develop an inner strength, you know, and you get to be a part of that, right? So it's the objective is not to find safety in typecasting this person and pinning them down to something that you can put a label on. It is let's ride the wave together,
Right.
you know, and that is the antithesis of emotional abandonment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you
Definitely.
abandon someone, you want them to stay in this one box. But if you want to
Because I
ride
created
the
this
wave,
box for you.
yeah, you got to be with them. You can't be with them without being with them.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly. And here's something else that kind of goes with that. As this person or as you change, there has to be communication.
oh, so perfect.
You have to be able to communicate, because sometimes, you know, and I've been that person where I'm like, I've changed. I might not have seen that I've changed, but you may see something that I've changed. And if you don't communicate that to me, hey, you've changed, you know, what's going on, you know, what's different, you know, because if you don't communicate those things, instead of, you know, holding it in, and then you start creating these walls, you know, you start blocking your emotions from this person that you once were so in love with, they change. So now your emotions get turned out to them, and then you start looking at them differently. And it's like, well, I don't think I want to be in this relationship no more.
Right.
You're not the person that I got a podcast about that too. Picking up where you left off at. No, we cannot pick up where we left off at, because where I left you at was a place where I knew that you did not want to grow and change. So no, I'm not going back there to get you.
Right.
I need to see that you've grown. I need to see that you've changed. I need to see that something about you is different from where I left you at. So, you know, even when you go, I definitely believe in, you know, things happen for a reason. And if somebody comes back into your life, like recently I've been crossing paths with a lot of people that I've dated or had interaction with. And I'm like, okay, why is this person here? Have they changed? Have they grown? You know, how are things now with this person? Let me let you be you and see if things have changed, because if they haven't, it was good crossing paths with you, but we definitely are not where we need to be in order for us to be together and grow together.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Again, that's okay. So, you know. So the next question that we have is from James Tobert. He says, do you believe rejection is an indication for one to take a new direction? What you think?
It can be. It can be. If it is definitely an indication for evaluation. You know, it is definitely that. A lot of people who have made successful relationships, again, we can widen the scope from intimacy to entrepreneurial to business to, you know, nucleus and you know, generational family and all this kind of stuff. Another aspect is persistency. Right? I approach you with something, you say no.
Right.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Well, how about like this? You know, okay, you don't like that. How about that? You know, so you may have been rejected in your initial offer, but it doesn't mean that you might have been all completely, you know, all out rejected for all time. Maybe what, you know, you presented 6, but what you really need to present with half a dozen or a couple of 3, right? You have it, but just the configuration, you know, and maybe it, you know, rejection will provide you an opportunity to evaluate your intention behind what you presented, right? Maybe this person, let's bring it back to intimacy. Maybe this person is interested in you the way that you're interested in them, but your presentation came out maybe a little bit predatory. That reminded them of something they just got out of, and it's like, oh, why do you have to be that way? You know, so nah, no, thank you. And you may be able to say, well, did I offend you? Or, you know, well, what I'm looking for in my life right now is, okay, I got you. Well, let me apologize, because it wasn't my intention to come off that way. And maybe I was just a little rash in how I did it. But here's my intention, right? And you say, okay, well, honestly, I can get down with that. You see what I'm saying? So it gives you an opportunity for evaluation. It's not necessarily always an indication for a complete change in direction.
And a lot of times it definitely requires an evaluation, because when you go into a situation and somebody is rejecting you, you have to. People are going to say, you got some people who are out there just who are trying to attack you because they're hurting, and they will say things and they'll do things. And it's let me get you before you get me. Based on my experience, I know that this is how it's going to go, and it's like, okay, well, is there any truth to this person, what they're saying, and I guess that's where you have to evaluate yourself and say, now, and I'll use me as an example because I've gotten kind of back into the dating pool where I'm like, okay, now I'm dating and I'm like, I want you to be you. And then they get angry when they don't get to get me the way that they want me to be. And then it's like, oh, and then it becomes, attacking you. Well, this and you don't, and I'm like, what? You're hurting from something that has nothing to do with me. Like everything that you are projecting on me is sit down. Then I become a life coach. So I told one of my friends, I'm gonna just bring an invoice to the first date because if I got to turn into a life coach on the first date,
just like me,
I'm charging your ass.
Because I had more than one date that turned into a coaching session, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, and it's like, you still got some healing to do, and I understand that I am running Let's Heal and got all of this stuff going on, but if you're trying to date somebody. Now, this is where I had a deep conversation with somebody before who got offended because he felt like I was talking about material things. And I said, when you go and start looking for a relationship and you want to you open yourself up emotionally and explore those different emotions so that you can figure out if you've been abandoned or you still hurt or healing from something, you have to know what you offer to a situation before you go looking for one.
Yes. Absolutely.
And what he heard was material things. And I said, that's absolutely not what I'm talking about. Right. I'm not talking about the material things. I'm not talking about monetary things. I'm not talking about what kind of car you drive. I could give two shits about that because that's not what's going to, if we strip away everything that you own, every degree, all of those things, what do you have to offer to a situation? But because that has been beat into our head that that's what's important when it comes to relationship or relationship building, a lot of people don't want to explore what they have to offer emotionally to a situation.
Yeah. And it's not to say that material goods don't have any value.
Right.
But we are way off balance. We're way out of whack when it comes to the amount of importance that kind of stuff should have, right? It's an indication, right? Honestly, if you don't clean your room, you're probably not going to clean me,
Right.
So, so it is an indication, but it's not as dire as we do make it. And it is actually a distraction of sorts from like the real work that a person needs to do sometimes, right? I know how to make money, but I don't know how to manage my emotions.
Right.
Okay. Well, you don't know how to be my man then.
Right.
Okay.
Or you don't know how to be nobody's partner because if your focus is making money, you don't have time for nobody else. So,
and because so you have to be able to transfer some of the so as again as professionals, as coaches, really what we try to do is to teach universal principles, and we try to help that individual boil those principles down into their practice of life, so you're not going to get away from gravity. You might not like gravity, but you take this apple, throw it up in that air, and look up under it, out your eye. Okay, gravity is bad. Law is law, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we can teach you how things work, and then you figure out how you want to work them in compliance with how things work. Then you have that success. You're prepared to go out there, and when you go out in the world prepared, rejection is not an issue.
Yeah, and I mean, and when like you said, when you're prepared for it, I'm not gonna say that you expect it, but when it happens, your recovery is a lot shorter. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody who suffers from fear of rejection, even lack of rejection. I feel like people need to have a healthy amount of rejection, because this new age, new millennials, like I'm at the later end of millennial, or the early part of millennials, but this new millennial thing, and I take it to like sports. Like with my nephew, he's 12 now, and growing up, he used to play basketball and things like that. And I understand the whole psychological and inclusive, and you want to include everybody. Everybody's a winner, blah, 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 blah. But are you preparing these young people for life? You know what I'm saying? When you go to a place and the team loses, but everybody gets a trophy, win. That's not reality. That is not life. That is not how things are going to go. That creates entitlement.
It does.
There's another emotion that a lot of people are tapping into so badly right now, like entitlement. It's like, okay, well, what makes you, you are 20, and it's like you did grow up in that era where everybody got a trophy, even when you did lose. That's not the reality. Like, and then when you get out in the real world and you don't get the job that you were going for, or you don't get the relationship you were going for, or you don't get the car that you're going for, things like credit is unforgiving. If you ain't got the right stuff, you're not gonna go. I want a Lamborghini, but if I ain't got the money and the credit, they're gonna reject my ass. They're gonna be like, well, as much as we want to help you, we can't, and we're not. So have a good day. That don't mean I'm gonna be all emotional and want to go drive my raggedy car through the window because y'all rejected me because I can't have this Lamborghini.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so now we're gonna give some tips. I got a couple tips. Because I don't like to give, I don't like to break everybody down and not give them a couple tips of how to repair and recover. So tips for recovering from emotional abandonment or emotional neglect will be: learn to be aware of positive and negative emotions when you're experiencing them. And I think learning what they are, like rejection is definitely, it's a negative emotion, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
And I like the yin yang theory. You have to have a little bit of both, positive and negative, in order for the world to continue to go around. Like nothing is ever, nothing is constant but change. So, even though you're winning, this is your winning season. Eventually, you're gonna come back down, and it might be a season where it's like, well, damn, I didn't do that well. Okay, it's all right. That don't mean that you won't come back to positivity.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah. Identify your needs and take steps to meet them.
Yeah. Because
you're an individual. Your needs may be a little different from the next person. So you can't compare yourself to other people exactly. Even when you have identical twins, they may look alike, but something about them is different. So you can't treat them the same.
Right. Yeah.
So if you have anything that you want to add while I'm reading these, you can.
Well, let me just say this. I mean, something just popped in my head as you said that, right?
Yeah.
Identifying your needs, take steps.
Yeah.
Identify your needs, take steps. The work that I've done in the corporate world. This is so funny to me. I've done a little bit of work in the corporate world, a little bit of work with the nonprofit world, right?
Yeah.
And one of the first things you do, my educational background is in organizational development, right? Organizational relationships. So I do a lot of OD work. Boards of directors and CEOs always want to work on their mission statement first.
Yeah.
And not their vision statement.
Right.
And I get pressed really hard, but I say, well, let's focus on your vision.
Right.
Well, no, because I know I want to get these things done this year, and I want to get these things and in 3 to 5 years I want to do it. Who are you?
Right.
What do you want to see
exactly from your company?
Right. And I typically look at things from the perspective of not that it, just for the sake of focus. Yeah. I tend to look at things like an independent contractor. So Les Hill, hires me as an independent contractor to do da 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 da. Right.
Right.
And you give me a statement of work that has 10 things on it. And my job is to close that contract out by doing those 10 things, right?
Exactly.
So when you set your vision, what do you want to see in the world that you don't even need to be here anymore because you've accomplished it, right? Yeah. What you set out to do, you've accomplished it.
Yeah.
Now, it creates this world. And the most successful for-profit and non-for-profit organizations, they do this. I want to create a world where there is no more cancer.
Yeah.
Now, will we ever accomplish that?
Right.
Probably not, right?
Probably
but that's
not.
Vision, right?
Exactly.
But once you set that vision, you can say, okay, based off of that, we want to have a mission that's focused around research and development, distribution of medications, and employment of medical facilities that can provide certain surgeries and certain procedures. And now you got the mission that's in alignment with the vision.
Right.
But if you don't have the vision, you can be very busy.
No mission. You can't create no mission.
Yeah, not a focused one, and you'll waste all of your resources. Yeah, and you can really boil that down to the individual, right?
Yeah.
I want. So I'm gonna get my body together, and I'm gonna get my money tight, and I'm gonna get my car nice, and I'm gonna get my to do. But
all for what? But for what?
To do what? What do you see yourself with?
Exactly.
Does it matter? Whether he's 6'6" or 5'6", doesn't matter. Figure out your vision, and then that will dictate. Maybe I really want to attract someone who gives 3 shits about my car.
Right.
But no, you're going to spend all your resources on buying a lamb.
Because that's what's important to you when it really ain't important at all.
Yeah.
So and I think that vision, because even with COVID, we all still going through COVID. COVID leveled the playing field for a lot of people. Yeah. No amount of money, no material things, no body, no education. Nobody was excluded from getting or being connected to or within 1-2 degrees of separation of somebody who has experienced COVID or even death from it. So at that point, your vision just becomes, I just want to be happy and alive. You know what I'm saying?
I want to be able to breathe.
Exactly. That's it. And it's like, no, I need to make sure my body is right and my money is tight and this, but all of that's going to be there. And guess what? If COVID come knocking on your door and take you out, now what that mean?
Yeah. So there's no problem with having all those things, but all those things need to be subject to the real you. Right. Not, I want to do this so that this will give me an identity. I have an identity. And because I have an identity, these things come along with it.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. So we got 2 more things.
Okay.
If you believe you don't deserve to have your needs met, acknowledge the belief and see it as just a belief and not a fact. And be gentle with and take good care of yourself, starting with small steps.
God, that's so important.
So
important. So easy to do, so easy not to do.
Exactly. Because we forget to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? And appreciate the small things when it comes to life and even the emotions that you do have right now. That's a perfect place to start. Like there are a plethora of emotions out there. And if you got 1 or 2 right now that you are exploring and you are touching on, go and find some other emotions. Go find 1 emotion, learn about it, learn what it feels like, learn how you apply it to your life, learn what it looks like to you, learn how to accept that emotion, whether it's a good or a bad one. Don't stick too tough with the bad ones all the time, because what you put out is what you get back. So if you're constantly putting out bad emotions, you're gonna get it back. So and some other ones are our emotional needs. Psychologically, we need affection, love, companionship, to be listened to and understood, to be nurtured, to be appreciated, and to be valued.
Yeah.
And a lot of those have to start with you, because you have to know what those emotional needs feel like. So that when other people offer them to you, you know how to receive them. And it's not a thing that you fear, because a lot of times if you've never experienced a lot of these emotions, you fear them.
Yeah.
You put up a wall to them. You don't invite them in. You don't accept them. You don't do anything except for that's not what I'm used to. Okay,
Right.
well,
Right. And if you've been abandoned, how you survive that abandonment
right.
is to numb yourself to these emotions. And so
Yep.
when someone in earnest presents them, it can be offensive. It was to me. It has
Yeah.
been to me. You
Yeah.
know, like I grew a disdain for compliments. I hated them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you smart. What the hell you want?
Yeah. Right.
That's exactly how I respond. You
Right.
tell me to come in here and compliment me without giving me something to do, you know?
Right.
But maybe it's not just want to be good to you today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so accept that. And
Yeah.
if that compliment comes with, you know, a little ball and chain on the end of it you want, be strong enough to reject that.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for that opportunity. For several reasons, I won't be able to do that, but I
Right.
want to let you know I really appreciate you seeing that in me, the value in me to actually ask me to do that, and move on about your business
Right.
and let them figure out what just happened. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So before we close out, like I said before, this was a great show, by the way. Jazzy said he enjoyed the show, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. And in this season, I would love for people who are guests on the show to give me a small definition of healing to them. What does healing mean to you?
Ooh, wow. Healing. I have an extreme feeling about healing, you know, and I actually want to put this in a video and send it to you for your promo.
My video. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
I had an experience in my life, and I'll try to be really succinct with this. When I was in the military, I got really sick on the deployment, and I was at death's door. You know, literally, the doctors put me on palliative care. It was going to keep me comfortable until I passed. I'm gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God brought me back from that whole scenario. I actually had an atheist doctor that professed faith and became a Christian through that whole experience. But the point that I want to bring up is once I came through and I had these several surgeries and everything, and I had to, you know, you had to blow in one of those little breathalyzer things to show that your lung capacity was strong enough that they could discharge you, right?
Yeah.
And I could not blow that little damn ball up high enough, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, one of the doctors came in and said to me, listen to me. We have done 2 surgeries on you. We've cut you wide open. We've removed part of your liver, your gallbladder, this whole thing, right? And we healed you.
Mm-hmm.
You are healed, but you cannot recover if you don't leave here.
Yeah.
So healing, when people think of healing, they get these warm, fuzzy feelings, right? And
Right.
and that definitely can be a manifestation of healing as well, right?
Right.
But oftentimes healing is a hard, extreme thing that you go through.
Yeah.
And it rectifies the problem and it gives you the opportunity for recovery, right? So I draw a distinction between healing and recovery.
Yeah.
Healing is setting things back right.
Yeah.
And recovery is taking advantage of the fact that you've set things back right. Right.
Exactly.
So don't heal and don't take advantage of the healing that you went through.
Right.
So I wanted to just share that.
You got to recover and heal. That's all the same thing. So before we get out of here, John, tell everybody where they can find you at or how to get in contact with you or anything important that you got going on that people can look out for. Let the people know.
Well, I have, you know, thank you so much for that. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me there, Ebron Coaching and Consulting, my business page on Facebook for John, John Ebron, Ebron. I just always say LeBron without the L or the money or the basketball skills. I am accepting clients right now. I'm accepting coaching clients. I go through both a causative coaching process and also curriculum-based processes depending on what you want to work on. So again, I focus on leadership development, emotional resilience, and time management. So those are like my key areas where I focus on. You'll find me, you know, on the internet, John JOHN Ebron EBRON.com, and that's my web address.
Yes, definitely. Well, I I enjoyed the show.
It was
And
amazing.
obviously everybody else did. James, Jazzy, everybody, I thank y'all for tuning in. And until next time, I am Tyrell. This has been the Let's Heal podcast. And y'all know me and my saying, as always, drink your water and mind your own bald-headed business. I'll see y'all later next time.
Take care, everyone.
Y'all.